All right, Judy, I want to talk about, in your book, You Are My Brother, there's a part, I wrote it down, and it is definitely something we should just carve out a special moment to talk about, where you met someone, and he said, give me that there pie. And it's basically a life lesson on turning selfishness into selflessness. And I want you to recap the story a little bit, but then dive a little bit into that a little further as we kind of get into what, to me, is possibly it's definitely one of the greatest tragedies in modern day culture right now, our move towards selfishness instead of selflessness.
Oh, thanks, Brendan. I love that. I love that experience. I was out on a food truck, and we basically went out and we handed out sandwiches and some sort of desserts, and if we had it, milk juice. And the homeless people in the park would line up and they would get their stuff. And this one man came up to the truck, and he was kind of a grumbly, angry guy, and he saw on the truck this box, and it was kind of a nice box, and he said, give me that there pie. And I looked at him, and I said, turn around and look behind you. And he did. And of course, there were probably 30 people behind him in line. And I said to him, how can I give you that whole pie when there's all those rest of those people? And he didn't know what to say, but I didn't want to leave him hanging. So I said, I'll tell you what, we'll give everybody what they need and what they want. And if you come back at the end, we'll cut up the pie and you'll get a piece of that pie. And it was a glorious pie. It was one of those fancy restaurant pies that had one segment of blueberry, one segment of strawberry. And who wouldn't want a piece of that pie? So he went off, and it was I think that was sort of a principal moment, and I was just talking like a school head teaching somebody. So he went off, and I thought, well, I've lost that man. But he came back, and there was the pie. It had not been given away. I wouldn't give anybody a whole pie. But we didn't have utensils, so what we were going to do, and one very clever man that was on a food truck with me, he was a former engineer, and he said, I know what we'll do. And we had combs to give away, but they were wrapped in plastic sleeves. We opened up a plastic sleeve, and we used the back of a comb to cut the pie. And we had no plates, so we used paper towels that we had on the truck. And indeed, he got a piece of the pie. And I think he realized in that little moment, and we all did, that that's really what life is all about. I mean, can we share a piece of the pie? And can we remind each other to share a piece of the pie? So I guess that was my position, to be there, maybe to be a little school principal and help him realize that there were other people behind him, and he could wait a little bit and he could share, and he did. And the best thing was he felt pretty good. He was smiling broadly as he dug into his piece of pie, and it was just a very special moment for all of us there.
I have to be honest, I think it's even bigger than that, Judith. It's almost like a Jesus parable to me. How often am I ever going to be able to give a life lesson that's going to involve a comb and a piece of pie to teach a lesson on selfishness? It is a beautiful story.
Thank you. I was the lucky one to be there.
It was, and thanks for sharing that, because it's just a great element in this book, folks. You're going to turn the pages. They're short, little stories that deal with her experiences, deal with going out into the homeless community, who she meets, how she's surviving, those kinds of things. And then these moments where, to me, it seems like God's really intervening in people's lives and making changes.
Yeah, Brendan, you mentioned they're short stories. For your readers out there, or maybe even your non-readers, I think one of the beauties of this book, having nothing to do with me, is that each segment, each little story is exactly 700 words, because that was my allotment by the newspaper that I was writing for. So array for word count on our computer. So I knew when I got to 725, I had to cut words. So if you like short takes, there they are.